Hi everybody, I'm Gary the Muffin, and I'm the guy who played Undertale for the first time 10 years after it released. Yeah, I deserve this. Undertale needs no introduction, right? It's this wonderful indie RPG by Toby Fox about morality, hopes and dreams. Did you guys hear that? I made some Deltarune Pokemon already, and you guys ate that up. So I figured, how about I draw some Undertale Pokemon for the 10th anniversary of this iconic game? I know I'm a bit late, I'm really sorry. Let's get into this. Where better to start than the Tumblr sexy man himself, Sans Deltarune, the bona fide mascot of the series. Yeah, let's see how many skeleton puns I can fit into this section, huh? Sans is quite a tough character to turn into a Pokemon. This skeleton with a bit of a funny bone is quite an interesting challenge for this video, because skeletons are really hard to draw and difficult to Pokemonify. So, I'll have to put some backbone into this. I immediately knew what I wanted his pose to be. His incredibly iconic, facing straight forward pose. There's not a lot of Pokemon that just look straight into the camera, but with Sans being, well, Sans? A weird, slightly unsettling lazy bones, I thought it would actually enhance the design if I put in less effort. Because it's incredibly in character for Sans to put in no effort into something like this. I had to mimic Sans's iconic grin, as well as his spine-chilling blue eye. To add some asymmetry to this design, I only gave him this single eye. His other socket would stay completely empty. This will also tie in with another Bonerattling Pokemon I'll be drawing later. But you guys need to have some patience for that. I made it a Fire Ghost type, the laziest type imaginable for a Sans Pokemon. But that's the point, and also it just fits well. I did do something clever with it though, I'm no Nullskull. The fire comes from its flaming insides, which are surrounded by bone-like ribs. This way it isn't too skeleton-like, and the design doesn't become a complicated mess of bones. I also used the ribs to mimic Sans's sweater. Only the colors are inverted thanks to the blue fire. Also, if you are wondering where his arms are, he has none. He's unarmed. But he does have floating hands, which he keeps inside of his fiery ribs most of the time. Similarly to how Sans has his hands in his jackets. Are you ready to have a bad time? This is Nullskull, from Numbskull and Null, which means zero. Sans is a crippling nihilist. Sans is a crippling nihilist. Sans is a crippling nihilist. Sans is a crippling nihilist, after all.
Nullskull, the spineless Pokemon. A ghost and fire type. No one knows how Nullskull came to be. Some claim it's the soul of a lost traveler haunting its own skeleton. Others say it's from another dimension entirely. All we know for sure is that it's a bona fide prankster. It has the ability Ribcage and a hidden ability Justified.
I would like to divert your attention to its shiny. Notice how it stays almost completely the same? Yeah, well, I think you can guess why, right? The yellowish hue on the bones just turns slightly pink as a reference to bone marrow and his iconic slippers, which are never indicated to be pink. I don't know how people came up with this. This is a very fun Pokemon, but of course no Undertale video would be complete without his amazing little brother, the Great Papyrus! The next Deltarune Pokemon is one based on Task Manager. One of my personal favorite Deltarune side characters, purely because of her design and concept. Not like that. I love Task Manager's lion taming motif, so combining this with a cat girl robot is pretty neat, I'd say. It's also my favorite Deltarune character in this Deltarune video. I've made a robot Pokemon like this before, but I felt that Psybuck could have been a lot better. so I want to redesign it at some point, but it would be pretty handy to practice drawing a robot Pokemon with this design. Tabbylet will take inspiration from the modern depiction of a futuristic robot. Sleek white tech with a black screen face. To prevent it from looking too humanoid, I decided to really exaggerate its proportions. Wide hips that look almost skirt-like, big paw hands, and a mostly round face. Mechanical robot parts are hard for me to draw, so I'm pretty proud of the way I used these machine-like segments in this design to add to the silhouette and shape of it. You'll also notice holes at the ends of its fingers. This is where it could extend laser claws from it. Pretty nifty. Task Manager already has a lion tamer inspiration, having a long cat-like tail and wielding this cool laser whip. So I decided to combine these together for this design with a tail serving as a whip, ending in sharp spikes which are shaped like the face of a cat if you squint at them. Just like Psybug, it has some Paradox Pokemon inspirations in the way I rendered the glowing yellow electric parts. Also, I'd like to compliment myself on its cute cat face. Very adorable. Unlike the other Deltarune Pokemon in this video, Tabbylet is a lot less fantastical looking and resembles its original inspiration the closest of all. Which, in this case, isn't a bad thing. She's in control of everything! It's Tabbylet! From Tabby, Tabs, and Tablet.
Tabbylet, the task Pokemon. An electric and steel type. This artificial Pokemon has been programmed with the ability to command other Pokemon. With its razor-like whip, it will punish those who fall out of line. It has the abilities Download, Merciless, and the hidden ability Galvanize.
Out of all the Deltarune Pokemon in this video, I think this one is my favorite. But a close second will be my next Deltarune Pokemon. My new favorite Deltarune side character. I know, I've been taking way too long to get to this guy. So here is Jackenstein! Die! The Great Papyrus! The objectively best Undertale character. Don't add me. Sadly, we haven't gotten to see him in Deltarune yet, which is a shame. But luckily, this is an Undertale video and not a Deltarune video. So I can design a Pokemon for the Great Papyrus, member of the Royal Guard. I love this little dunce. His naive and extravagant personality, his unbridled optimism, and his well, papyrusness have endeared him with many fans. Because he is Sansa's lovable little goofball brother, of course this Pokemon would have to be a counterpart to Nullskull. It wouldn't be the same Pokemon, but it would have many of the same ideas, similarly to Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, or Volbeat and Illumise. Sort of related, but not entirely. For Papyrus's design, I stretched out his proportions and made them more Pokemon-like. The round chest especially becomes a large ribcage, similarly to Nullskull's chest. And also like Nullskull, fire is emitting from its body. Only its fire is a lot wilder and will be orange, the opposite color to Nullskull's blue. This fire will end in a wild fiery mane of glory, just like how the glorious Papyrus has a sort of scarf or cape. He looks like a superhero, just like what Papyrus imagines himself to be one day. I mentioned earlier that Nullskull has hidden hands. Well, Skeltinel's hands are proudly on its hips, showing his best superhero pose. Fire also comes out of these hands, because rule of cool, and Papyrus is the coolest guy. It could be fun for this Pokemon to have a more trap-like playstyle, having moves that could trap the opponent and hurt them over time, falling in line with Pap's affinity for traps. Even though he has none, I know it's probably a horrible existence. All hail the great Skeltinel! From Sentinel and Skeleton.
Skeltinel, the Bonehead Pokemon. A Ghost and Fire type. It boasts about itself. pretending to be stronger than it actually is. In reality though, this Pokemon is a pacifist and would never actually wish to harm someone else. It has a strange affinity for flowers. It has the ability Ribcage and the hidden ability Big Pecs.
Skeltinel also gets a new ability, Ribcage. All its moves will be 100% accurate against trapped opponents, really playing into Papyrus's utter love for traps. Hey, wait a second, I went an entire segment about Papyrus without mentioning Spaghetti. Yay! From the Royal Guard's masterful chef to its beloved leader, the powerful Undyne is also one of Undertale's most beloved characters. She's based off an Undyne. Wow, shocker. These are the names of water elementals. Fairies, mermaids and nymphs. You name it. If it's wet and magical, you can bet it's radical. And Undyne is very radical. Because of her, association with Elphys.
They're gay as hell.
I decided to make them another pair of Pokemon. One water elemental and one fire elemental. So Undyne is based on a literal water elemental. It'll do something very unconventional for a Pokemon and be made up of entirely water. There's not a lot of Pokemon that are just their elements. In fact, 90% of them are just rocks. So a pure water Pokemon could be very interesting. I gave this Pokemon a very soft, skinny and fluid body with a lot of wavy motions to it. Undyne herself is pretty tall and skinny, so it fits for this Pokemon. It kind of looks like a water geyser spewing up from a lake. Or some kind of fountain maybe. The puddle at its feet resembles the tail of a mermaid, and I gave it 3 sharp horns of water to reference a trident, as well as Undyne's awesome spears. I know Asgore is more associated with tridents, but Undyne also trained under Asgore, so it's a pretty cool reference to him too. At the center of this design lies a gem. This red ruby is a reference to the soul you play as. It's red, the color Undertale associates with determination. And if you're vile, evil, no good Betty One Shoes who play the genocide route, you know where this is going, right? In the genocide route, Undyne tries her best to stop you, serving as one of the strongest roadblocks in your path of carnage. She's so determined to beat you, she just refuses to die. Pretty kick butt if you ask me. However, this determination proves to be too much for her, and at the end of the battle, she slowly melts away into a puddle. So the water type makes sense now, yippee! Rendering water was a first for me. There's very few Pokemon with actual water in their designs, so I didn't have much to go off. So being forced to improvise, this is how I decided to render it, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good. Very water-like, 7.8 out of 10, well done. It's time to battle a true hero, Unbrine, from Undyne and Brine.
Unbrine, the wet Pokemon, a water type. Said to be born when Kyogre created the oceans, this Warden of the Seas protects the oceans from human threats like pollution and overfishing. It's respected by the other Pokemon from the seas. It has the ability Damp and the hidden ability Water Absorb.
Like I said earlier, I can't make an Undyne Pokemon without making Elphys too. So let's make this nerdy little otaku lizard, shall we? Ha! Just kidding! Before we get to the Elphys Fakemon, let's do what Toriel do best and break up this romantic moment. By drawing one of Undertale's most iconic characters. Togor Dreamer, the beloved child of Toriel and Asgore. Gary?
You're kinda stupid, and no, he doesn't exist. And also,
What do you mean Togor isn't a real character, huh? Wait, huh? Yeah, could've fooled me. Who lied to me? Fine, then let's just draw Muffet. I don't care anymore. Though, just drawing Muffet is an understatement. I can't just draw a Spider Girl, even if I really want to, please. No, I have to make her slightly more spider-like. I did this by taking inspiration from Deriders. Monsters from D&D that are half human, half arachnid. They are freaky little things. Well, big things, because they are massive. But of course, this Pokemon is a lot less creepy and lustrous. I made it big and fuzzy, with the abdomen shaped like Muffet's cute little pet. A giant muffin spider monster that tries to eat you. Muffet is actually a fan design for Undertale. Before the game released, people could send characters to Toby Fox, which he may add into the game. And Muffet got in, thankfully, because I think she has a wonderful design, one of my favorites from Undertale. This sleazy, money-hungry spider lady is a fun character and a neat boss fight. I did something pretty unconventional with this Pokemon's design. I gave it 8 legs. Thus far, there has never been a spider Pokemon that has actually had 8 legs, except for Spidops, who most of the time has its legs together. To properly mix the pastry concept with a spider, I thought it'd be fun for it to weave webs made out of dough instead of silk. There's a lot you could do with a concept like that. In the key art, I made it weave a little heart made out of dough, to tease you before it eats you. I also gave it a web-like pattern of dough on its muffin abdomen to resemble the toppings of a muffin. All of this together, with a delicious color pattern, heavily taken from Muffet herself, is a great recipe for a sugary sweet Pokemon. Here, have a delicious treat. You are now $1,000 in debt, and you better pay up to Paspintry. From Pastry and Spinneret. A spinneret is the part of a spider that makes the silk.
Paspintry, the muffin Pokemon. A bug and fairy type. It weaves a tasty smelling web of sticky dough. It uses sweet scents to lure in unsuspecting prey. Then it traps these people or Pokemon and wraps them up with dough. It has a rather morbid habit of decorating its prey before consumption. It has the abilities Sweet Veil, Arena Trap, and the hidden ability Swarm.
I really love this Pokemon. It's one of my more intricate and complex designs. Usually I have a lot of trouble with those, but this design felt like it was a big sign of growth for me. Of course, such a refined and delectable design comes at a price. Pay up! Pay up! Like and subscribe to this video, or the spiders in your wall will eat you. And maybe also hype it. That's apparently a new feature YouTube added. Look at it like a tip. An awesome lesbian couple and an evil, intimidating spider. Alphys is pretty commonly regarded as Undertale's, well, least well-liked major character. Though I don't wanna say she sucks. I'm not a Jerry. Say that again, Gary. No, I am not making a Jerry, Larry. Alphys is a pretty interesting character. At first you're led to believe she's some kind of inside silly joke character. A nerdy weeaboo lizard who rap battled William Afton one time and constantly says weird, silly and anxious internet stuff. But you find out she has a deep, dark secrets hiding beneath her lap. Though the amalgams are for another video, sometime maybe, if you guys like this, Alphys herself is some kind of little lizard or salamander, which are often recognized as the embodiment of fire in alchemy and mythology. Think Charmander for an example. This is also perfect because she lives in Hotlands, with other fire-themed residents like Vulcan and Flaming Flamesman. I think that's his name. And while she herself doesn't have any fire elements to her design, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Toby's intention to do a little bit of a fire and water contrast between these two lovebirds. Love lizards and fish. Unlike water, fire is a lot more common in Pokemon designs, so it was easier to render and draw. But no Pokemon has ever really been made entirely out of fire. So I had to be a bit clever with it. I used the flames to recreate Alphys' general shapes. Her crest and her lab coat, for example. Unlike the fluid, lanky and curved Unbrine, this Pokemon is shorter, stockier with sharper edges. And just like Unbrine, it has a blue gem in the middle of it, to contrast with the flaming red. I think there's a fun dichotomy between both designs. While you'd expect water to be calm and gentle, Unbrine and, of course, Undyne are actually a lot wilder and aggressive in personality, while the usually passionate and dangerous fire elemental is a lot more shy and reserved. They coincidentally end up as opposites of their elements, which makes them a lot more interesting than just elements of their type. Hashtag hot, hashtag flaming, hashtag burned, Flamander, from Flame and Salamander.
Flamander, the hot Pokemon, a fire type. It was created when Groudon created the continents. It stays inside of its volcano, shy from people and Pokemon, where it uses its flames to maintain the Earth's crust, preventing volcanic eruptions or earthquakes. It has the ability Flame Body and hidden ability Flash Fire.
I think it and Unbrine are an amazing duo of legendary Pokemon, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Elvis herself shipped these two. But what do you think? Let me know how you feel about these Undertale Pokemon in the comments below. While I haven't been an Undertale fan for nearly 10 years, let alone one, I do love this series and its characters, and I hope you do too. So don't forget, and have another wonderful day. I've been Gary the Muffin. Gotta catch me later.